listeners and viewers, welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration, under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is positioned, as always, to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email, education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle, @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
Good day, students. My name is Nuhu Bako Fus. You are welcome to government class. Topic: Rule of Law. I repeat, Rule of Law. Rule of law is defined as the supremacy of the law over everybody in a country. Rule of law is seen as a provision made by the Constitution with emphasis on supremacy of the law, equality before the law, and the inclusion of the principle of individuals' rights. Now, rule of law is all about the supremacy of the law in a country. The supremacy of the law, absolute or predominant supremacy of the law over and above everybody in the country, every individual in the country. The rule of law is the supreme and is above everybody in a country, as far as a country is concerned. And this definition and rule of law was propounded by Professor A.V. Dicey in 1885. The principle of the rule of law. 1. Principle of equality. Principle of equality. It states that law should be applied equally to all citizens of a country, irrespective of their economic or political status, and nobody is above the law. Principle of equality says nobody is above the law in a country. Be you a general, the president, all institutions in government, rich or poor, young or old. The principle of equality is great and is over and above everybody. So irrespective of your stature, irrespective of your position, the law is above you. And it is expected that each individual should be treated equally as long as you are a citizen. Citizens of a country are expected to be treated equally because before the law, we are all equal. So nobody is above the law. Don't think of your stature or any anything you have, or whatever you have, who you are, or what you are. Before the law, you are nothing. We are all equal as citizens before the law. That is the principle of equality. Everybody is equal before the law. Secondly, principle of individual rights. Principle of individual rights. Every human being is entitled to fundamental rights and freedom. And that when these rights are violated, citizens should have the right to seek redress from the courts. Only the courts have the jurisdiction to entertain such case. Individuals have the right to benefit the fundamental right entrenched in the Constitution. Fundamental right is a right that every citizen in a country is entitled for. The liberty, the freedom is a privilege, inalienable right, natural rights. They are enshrined in the Constitution. So each and every individual is entitled to these rights. They are fundamental, they are basic. So we need to enjoy those rights. Freedom of movement, freedom of worship, freedom to acquire knowledge, to possess whatever you want to possess, freedom to join any association and the like. Individual has that right, and we are all entitled to those rights and those privileges as a citizen in a country. And it is only the courts that have the jurisdiction to entertain any case. If a suspect is arrested, that suspect remains a suspect and he is entitled to these rights. He must be informed of his offense. He must be aware why he is being arrested. And whatever the court decides or will decide at the end, he must fully be informed. This is why we are arresting you. This is your offense. It's against the Constitution of the country. And at the end of the day, the judgment that will be passed, or the judgment passed against you, that is your penalty or your punishment, it is expected that you must be informed fully before you be taken to prison or whatever your penalty or your punishment may be. So you are entitled as a citizen, as an indigent in your country, to live your life. You have the right to enjoy those rights, those privileges, because it is constitutional. It is entrenched already in the Constitution. Principle of impartiality. Principle of impartiality. This means that no person should be punished for any offense until otherwise established by the court. Any accused person is still regarded as a suspect by the law and should not be detained for more than 24 hours without taking the individual to court. Principle of impartiality states that any offender or an accused person is not supposed to be detained more than 24 hours. He is not supposed to be brutalized by the police or by the military, to be beaten anyhow. No. And he is expected to be taken to court. Due process ought to be followed. He must be arrested and he must be informed of his offense before he will be arrested. And at the same time, while in the court, his case must be treated by a free and fair and a just and a faithful lawyer or a judge. And he must be treated, without hardship, because he is a citizen and he has a right to benefit those inalienable rights, the privileges and the rights that is, attached, or that each individual is expected to benefit in his or her country. So it is only the court that has the right to say this suspect is guilty of so offense. If not, that suspect remains a suspect. Nobody has the right to establish the fact or to conclude that the suspect is a thief or the suspect is a hire killer or an assassin or is a kidnapper. No. it is the court, the judge, that has the final say. They are the ones that have the constitutional rights to declare and to say this suspect is guilty of his offense. That is when his case is now made known and his offense is made known, and that is when he can be called as a thief or as an armed robber. If not, that suspect will remain a suspect until it is finally declared by a judge. Supremacy of the law. The supremacy of the law over every individual is established. The supremacy of the law over every individual is entrenched and established and well defined in the Constitution. And it says, the supremacy of the law is supreme. The law is over and above everybody. Be you a general, be you the president of the state, governor or a senator, or a member of House of Representatives, no matter how rich you are, supremacy of the law surpasses everybody in that country. So the supremacy of the law stands as the supreme above every institution of the government. It's above the three tiers of government. It's above the organs of government. The three tiers of government, that is the federal, the state, and the local government. And the organ of government, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. Supremacy of the law says is over and above all the institution and every individual. So even the leaders in office, it is expected that they govern and rule as citizens in accordance with the provision in the Constitution. So it remains supreme over and above everybody in the country. The fifth point, fair hearing. Anybody arrested for any offense is still a suspect and should be given fair hearing. Now, everybody that is arrested for any offense, that person should be given a fair hearing. That person should be allowed to express whatever he has to say. He has the right, to be listened to in the court by the judge. And it is expected that he is treated well. He should not be arrested and detained unnecessarily. He must not be beaten. He must not be punished. But a fair hearing must be given to him. And all that he did or the offense committed, the judge or the lawyers in court, they should allow him to explain. They should allow him to talk. And it is expected that at the end of the day, justice ought to be done to the suspect. So the chief judge should be patient enough, and any personnel in the court should be patient enough to listen to the accused person. And at the end of the day, they can be able to draw a conclusion and declare him guilty or not. Provision of the Constitution. Every government should rule the people according to the established laws and provisions of the Constitution. It is expected that every government should administer, should govern the country according to the provision in the Constitution. Every individual has that right. Every individual has that freedom. Every individual is expected to be treated well, because already everything is stated in the Constitution. We are guided by the Constitution. So anything done out of the Constitution is a crime, or it is an offense. Rather, it is an offense. So it is expected that the government too should rule as citizen, in a democratic way. The government should allow the citizen to speak or to talk. The government should handle the citizen well to avoid arbitrary system of government. Because a government, while in power, is not supposed to be a dictatorship kind of government. There are provisions already made in the Constitution. So it is expected that the leaders should work or should exercise their powers according to the provision of the Constitution in order to help each and every individual to enjoy those rights that are enlisted or that are entrenched in the Constitution. The next point is access to legal facility. Access to legal facilities. Any accused person should be allowed access to his lawyer and other facilities that may be helpful in the preparation of his case. Now, it is expected that accused person should be allowed access to a lawyer. As an accused person, you have the right to get your own lawyer. You have the right to go to the court with your witness. Anything you have as an evidence, you have the right. The court is there. Once you are financially buoyant, you have the right to take a lawyer. You have the right to go to the court. And any other facilities that might be helpful, in the preparation or during trial, every individual have the right, have the access to access those facilities when being trial or when such an individual is about to go for trial. So every individual should allow access to all facilities before or during trial. The next point, right to appeal. Right to appeal. The individual should have the right to appeal when not satisfied with the judgment of the lower court. Every individual have the right to make an appeal. If you are not satisfied of the judgment, you have the right to make an appeal. That is, you can go to a higher court that is above the court that passed the final judgment on you. We have the Supreme Court or we have the High Court. So if you are not satisfied, you can make an appeal to a higher court or the Supreme Court. Get a lawyer, go with your lawyer, table your case before the judge or before the lawyer. You will be listened to. And hopefully, or by God's grace, your case will be attended to. And you may win the case or you may be favored in that case. But an individual have the right to make an appeal after a judgment is being passed on a suspect or on a criminal or an accused person. You can make an appeal and go to the higher court or the Supreme Court. Right of individual. Right of individual. The rights of individual should be enforced and guaranteed. The rights of an individual in a country should be enforced and guaranteed. All the rights that a citizen is entitled for, it should be enforced by our leaders. It should be enforced by the government, and those rights must be guaranteed. You must have your freedom, freedom of movement. You must have your right to move, to join any association, any religion. As long as you are 18 years, constitutionally, you have the right, you are on your own. So you have the right, as an individual to benefit those rights very well. Now, limitation to application of rule of law. All the rights, according to the rule of law, they have their limits. All rights in the Constitution have limits. And number one is immunity of the head of state. Head of state cannot be sued or appeared in court. Once you are head of state, once a head of state is in office, he has an immune in his office. The office is highly regarded and respected. So as a president cannot be prosecuted. A president cannot be sued, no matter his offense. One or group of individuals of the government can only be pensioned until the president is not in office. But the president has immune in his office. He cannot be sued until his tenure elapses. Diplomatic immunity. Diplomats cannot be prosecuted in the country where they are residing as representative. An ambassador in a foreign country, an ambassador in a country that is not his or her cannot be prosecuted. They also have that immune. They are protected. They can only be deported. They can be taken back to their country. But while in office, they equally have that immune. So they cannot be prosecuted because they are highly dignitaries and they are foreigners. They are not indigent of that country. So the highest thing that can be done to them is to send them back to their country. So ambassadors are highly respected and regarded anywhere they are. Immunity of the parliament. The lawmakers are immune from every utterance, actions, or statement made in the parliament. The same thing is applicable to the members of the parliament, that is the senators and the House of Representatives. They equally have an immune that is guiding and protecting them while in office. No matter what they say, their utterances, their action or statement, while in office, they are protected by the Constitution. They cannot be sued. You cannot prosecute them. They are protected. So they have that right to stay in the office until after their tenure before they can be arrested or they can be sued. But while in office, they cannot be sued and they cannot be prosecuted. Next point, delayed justice. Some individuals have spent years in custody with their cases frequently postponed. In bracket, justice denied. Justice delay is agreed to be justice denied. Many individuals have their case frequently postponed. Fix a date, the day will come, it will be postponed again till another date. And for that, they stayed long under the police custody or in the prison, which is not right. That has jeopardized the intention of the rule of law. So every individual, if arrested, it is expected that his case should be handled on time and let that individual knows his offense. If he's guilty, he faces the consequences. If not, he should be set free. So justice delay is agreed to be justice denied. Next point, illiteracy, poverty, and ignorance. This can limit the application of the rule of law. It is also a limitation to the rule of law. Illiteracy, poverty, and ignorance. Most citizens are not even aware. Most citizens don't even know their rights. So how will they fight for their right? An illiterate person doesn't know he cannot read or write. So he doesn't know his right to his left. A poor man, if you are poor, you cannot claim your right, you cannot fight for your right. You don't have the money to go to court. So you remain the way you are. And an ignorance, at times you may be literate, but a particular thing, you are ignorant of that particular thing. So that also serves as, limitation to the fundamental human right. But it is expected that every individual should be literate, but that is not how it is. Tribunals are not constitutionally or legal courts. Members of tribunal are, in most cases, are people without legal knowledge. They are people without legal knowledge. At times, it is just the government that will just establish a tribunal. Most of them are not learned. Most of them are not professional lawyers. So this tribunal, they are just like a staff or a committee that the government will appoint, and they have that right given by the government to sit and judge cases. So at times, the way they do it, in most cases, it violates the fundamental human right. So this also serves as a limit to fundamental human right because they don't have the knowledge of the court or the case court completely. The rich and the privileged few, they often use their wealth and position to prevent justice. This is a limitation to the application of the rule of law. Free individuals, particularly in a developing country, they use their influence or their wealth, to buy the lawyers, the judges. So cases now in our court is like a commodity that one can use his wealth to buy. So discover that the masses and the less privileged ones suffer a lot. So few individuals and privileged ones use their money and influence the lawyers and influence cases in the court of law. And the wrong person will be sent, to court or to jail, which is ought not to be done, not to be so. So in most cases, the government ought to work strictly according to the provision of the Constitution, to trash all these ills in the society. 8, types of government. One-party system can grow into dictatorship, thereby limiting the application of the rule of law. There are some countries that are using one-party system of government, a dictatorship system of government, fascism, or a totalitarian system of administration. Such system of administration limits the fundamental human right of an individual. Those rights will be denied for you as a citizen, and by right you are supposed to enjoy those rights. But in most cases, some system of government used to limit, the fundamental human right of an individual. One-party system or military system of government too serve as limitation to the fundamental human right of an individual in a country. State of emergency. If a country is in crisis or about to fight war, state of emergency could be declared. Arbitrary rule may be enthroned, and the citizen may be denied some of their rights. State of emergency can be declared at any time. And state of emergency, it is a procedure by the government when a country is in a state of crisis or danger. The government can go out of its way to forfeit, the constitutional procedure and try to look for a means to bring back, the tension and the problem in the country. So state of emergency can be declared. And when that is done, an arbitrary system of government may now have access to the people. People will not have their right and their freedom because state of emergency has been declared. We have the military in politics. The intervention of the military in politics, in political process, and suspension of the constitution and limitation of the rule of law. While military in power, they don't use constitution. They keep constitution aside and they use what we call decree. And that also jeopardize, rule of law, because military don't use constitution. They go by order and decree. The next point, constitution, custom and tradition. In the process of trying to respect custom and tradition of a particular people, the application of the rule of law may be neglected. Go to the far north, there are some custom and tradition of people that limit the right of an individual. Like, for example, in the far north, a woman is not supposed to go out and source for money and bring to the house. And at the same time, that's what we call puda. In Hausa word, kule. Women are not supposed to expose themselves. If they must go out, it must be in the night. So that also serves as a limit to rule of law. We have unlawful detention, arrest, and torture. An individual is not supposed to be punished without being tried. Tortured, brutality by police or military also serve as limitation. So that too is not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be done that way. Each and everybody has a right and that freedom. If you are being accused of anything, you can be arrested and handed over to the police, and the police will know the due process. Police is expected to take you to court and you'll be tried, as expected. Then attitude of government. In some cases, the executive may refuse to honor the decision of the law court. In some cases, the government refuses to honor the decision of the law. If the law says this, at times some individual in government do not want to adhere or to respect. We have come to the end of the lesson, but before I leave, I will give you this assignment. State 8 principles of the rule of law. I repeat, state 8 principles of the rule of law. Question 2, identify 6 limitations to the fundamental human rights. Identify 6 limitations to the fundamental human rights. I repeat the assignment again. Question 1, state 8 principles of the rule of law. And question 2, identify 6 limitations to fundamental human rights. Now, in case you have any question or further explanation, you can reach me through this number 0802 354 7912. I repeat, 0802 354 7912. I remain Nuhu Bako Fus. Stay safe, stay home. Coronavirus is real. Thank you.